Your status didn't change while you slept last night. The Hadza of Tanzania score higher on standardized happiness scales than every industrialized society ever measured, while global depression cases rose 62% between 1990 and 2019. So what did ancient humans have that we don't? You're probably thinking the answer is simplicity. Less stress, less noise. That framing misses the mechanism entirely. In 2026, researchers at Harvard University's Department of Economics and Harvard Medical School published a study in PLOS ONE titled Gatherer Ancestry, associated with national happiness. They analyzed 1,265 small-scale societies from the Murdoch Ethnographic Atlas and cross-referenced gatherer ancestry against happiness data from 104 countries spanning 1981 to 2014. The finding: gatherer ancestry predicted national happiness with statistical significance, controlling for income per capita, a beta coefficient of 13.58, R-squared of 11.8%, PA 0.01. In plain terms, countries that descended from gatherer societies reported higher happiness today, centuries after those societies ended, even after adjusting for wealth. In human terms, the happiness advantage of gatherer ancestry is not a memory or a metaphor. It is a signal still measurable in living populations, meaning the structural features of gatherer life produced a psychological benefit that economic growth has not replaced. The question isn't what they felt. It's what was built into their daily life that made those feelings the default. The egalitarian band structure wasn't political philosophy. It was a chronic stress elimination system. In 2023, Piotr Fedoruk at the University of Roehampton measured hair cortisol, a biological marker of chronic stress that accumulates in hair over weeks to months, in 60 Hadza men. Neither hunting reputation nor popularity correlated with elevated cortisol. Status did not produce stress. This wasn't just a quality. It was the structural removal of the anxiety mechanism that dominates every modern workplace, every social media platform, every housing market. Present tense living wasn't a philosophy. It was a depression prevention protocol. The foraging day runs on immediate feedback loops. You look for food, you find it, or you don't. The outcome is known by afternoon. Suppressing the default mode network, the brain circuit associated with rumination. Assessment of the Kalulai people of New Guinea found clinical depression to be almost non-existent. The counterintuitive detail: the forager's life was harder and more physically painful than a modern office worker's. Ease did not produce happiness. Engagement did. Social embeddedness wasn't community. It was a pharmaceutical environment. Close physical proximity to known individuals triggers oxytocin release, the neuropeptide that suppresses cortisol and modulates the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal stress axis. A forager band of 20 to 150 people in constant contact was delivering this chemistry continuously without a prescription. The counterintuitive detail: global antidepressant prescriptions rose 65% over the past 25 years in high-income countries, a market that tracks inversely with the social density that made those drugs unnecessary. No performance review is coming. You will not check a number that tells you how you rank. The foraging day occupies 4 to 6 hours. The remaining hours are filled with social interaction, play, and rest. Activities that modern psychiatric literature now identifies as primary buffers against depression and anxiety. The mechanism is neurological. Social engagement pulls cognitive resources outward rather than inward, preventing the self-referential rumination cycles that generate and maintain depressive states. You walk today, 9 to 14 kilometers on active foraging days, consistent across most of the year, with no option to sit instead. That movement produces brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a protein that supports neural growth and function, the same target as certain antidepressant medications. It increases serotonin and dopamine synthesis. It activates the endocannabinoid system. A 2018 meta-analysis in JAMA Psychiatry found exercise as effective as antidepressants for mild to moderate depression. Ancient humans were running this protocol involuntarily, at therapeutic intensity, every day of their lives. Tonight, around the fire, the conversation shifts. During the day, 34% of talk involves complaints and social conflict. At night, per Polly Wiesner's research on the Jew/Honsey, that drops to 7%. Stories rise to 81%. The fire is the only light. Every face in it is a face you have known for years. The group's norms, suppressed status comparison, complaint, and future-oriented anxiety during the hours when bonding matters most. Nobody is discussing who has more. The comparison cannot run without fuel. The air smells of smoke and dry grass. Other bodies are close. You know every face in the firelight by name, by history, by the sound of their breathing. The density of familiarity is its own chemistry. The first break came with agriculture, roughly 10,000 years ago. The foraging economy ran on immediate feedback. The agricultural economy ran on deferred consequence. Plant in spring, wait, harvest in autumn, fear the winter. This was the first structural installation of extended future orientation into daily human life. The cognitive substrate of anxiety is anticipation of threats that have not yet occurred. Agriculture made that anticipation necessary, permanent, and correct. The second break was hierarchy. When status became heritable and material. When the position you were born into determined survival. The cortisol architecture that the Hadza data shows to be absent in egalitarian societies became a fixed feature of daily psychology. Income inequality and mood disorder prevalence correlate significantly in developed countries, per World Mental Health Survey data. Inequality doesn't just redistribute resources. It installs stress into every level of the social structure simultaneously. The third break was the screen. The foragers' social comparison was bounded by the 20 to 150 people they could physically see. The modern comparison group is algorithmically curated, unlimited, and available continuously. Designed to maximize upward comparison, which is precisely the cognitive process that ancient social norms were built to suppress. We didn't lose the conditions of happiness. We engineered the conditions of their opposite and delivered them at scale. You check a metric that tells you how you slept. They woke up and already knew. From their body, from the light, from the sound of the camp. You compare yourself to people you will never meet. They compared themselves to the 30 people whose faces they had memorized since childhood. You take a pill to feel the way movement used to make you feel. They moved and felt it without knowing what it was called. The Hadza are not happy because their lives are easy. They are happy because their lives are structured the way human psychology evolved to require, and we dismantled that structure one convenience at a time and named the distance between ourselves and its progress. This content is intended strictly for educational and documentary purposes. All historical, anthropological, and psychological references are drawn from peer-reviewed research and named academic sources.